From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, cause BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro, lights, camera, action. Action, action, action. Let's go. BP. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Heart of a Villain, a podcast and live stream devoted to the Bearded Villains Worldwide Brotherhood. Hey, it is Friday night. It is Friday night, not Saturday, not Thursday like normal. Had to push it back. So tonight we're doing episode 186 with zero agenda. Nothing on tap, because, you know, to be honest, I've just been so busy. I've been so busy, and unfortunately, not a great story as to why I've been busy. Just it's one of those things, you know. Sometimes you get those weeks where it's just, oh man, you're just busy, and you don't know where the week went. You don't know what you really can't even account for what you did, and it's been one of those weeks for me. I spent a lot of time down here in the studio, much to the dismay of my family, because I've been working on the film, and it's been really fun. It's such a time-consuming process. I don't think I fully gave it its due as far as how much time was going to be involved in this editing part of it. I knew it would be, you know. I knew it would be arduous. I knew it would be difficult and very time consuming. I knew that. But there's days while I'm working on this thing and I'm just sitting down here doing the edit and I lose track of time. Next thing you know, 4 hours have passed and I look up at the timeline in the film and I've only added the equivalent of like 5 minutes to the film. I tell you what, it's been a task. It's been a task. I'll get into that in just a few minutes. This may be what we're talking about here tonight. So, sorry to put aside any, I don't even know what the word is. It just left me. But if you had any anticipations or premonitions or preconceived notions as to far as what this show is going to be about tonight, sorry to set your mind in the reality spectrum that we don't really have much going on tonight. As I've gotten older, my vocabulary has I feel like my vocabulary has decreased drastically. I used to feel like I could talk good. And I had good grammar. Well, I still have good grammar, but my vocabulary seems to have been taking a hit over the last several years. Maybe I need to read books more. Reading's fun. Reading's hard. I don't know why. I just read the dictionaries, maybe. But I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. I've got a few things that we are going to be discussing as far as a few guys who have sent me some information about their chapters. Some merch items that they're still releasing or they have out and about. They're trying to get word out on, and a few things we're going to talk about as far as some events coming up in the coming weeks and all. And we just a very light agenda today, and that's what that is right now. I will say live with me here because it's a Friday night, because maybe I just didn't get much warning out there to remind people that we were doing this on a Friday night. all the way over. Now, see, this really, you don't, if you're here in the States, no excuse. No excuse for not being here. Well, I guess I can't really say that because I don't know what you're doing. You're probably doing something else that's more interesting. But as I cough, cheers to everybody who's cheering tonight. But Rob is so far, and I can't tell if he's 100% the only one, but he's one of maybe one or two people that's here with us live right now. And he's all the way over in the UK, and it is wee morning hours there. It is, let's backtrack our math. It's what, 2:00, is it, Rob? You're live with us here, I know. And he gave us his typical greeting. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And yes, he is. Oh, I'm excited. He's going to be making some t-shirts. I'm not going to spoil his announcement or if he's going to make an announcement about his t-shirts, but very cool idea that he has planned for those. So, but yeah, that's going to be very, very cool. And yes, Rob has confirmed it is 02:10 hours. It is 2:10 in the AM where he is right now. And he's here, but where's everybody else? I don't know. He says, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. Yes, that was a song back in the day. And then it was made into a updated new song in the 80s that was sung in malls all over America. And yeah, we'll just let that one go. We won't bring that up anymore. But hey, so let's do this. While I've got everybody's attention, because everybody that's here with us live, if you are here live, chime in the comments section. Let us know you're here. These nights when we do the Friday night, when we have to pivot and do it on a different night, if we have to go a day early on a Wednesday or a Friday night, especially Friday nights, because that's the night everybody goes out and does stuff anymore. So when we have to pivot and go Friday night, people disappear and we end up with like one or two people here live with us. So, but Rob's hanging out with us as always, and we love it. Good man. I can see that I may have 2 or 3 other people online right now, but they may not comment, and that's fine. But hey, so I want to let's do this real quick. I want to share while I do have some people's attention. Anyway, let's share a little bit of merch that some of our chapters. We got 2 chapters that have sent me some stuff. If you are a chapter, if you are a member of a chapter and you are selling some merch to try and do something good out in the world, please let me know and shoot me a little flyer or something like that so I can put it up on the screen like these fine gentlemen have done for me tonight. Just like this. Lakeshore Vibes. The Lakeshore guys. Now, we know that they always have a website that's out there with a ton of merch available all the time. Year-round, 24/7, they have a great website with lots of merch. Constantly available. There it is. But right now, right now they have some patches that they made up for this summer, earlier this summer, and they're limited and they are gone. And the patch, I will just say this, the quality of the patch that they have here, they actually made a bundle, and I'm not sure if the bundle still exists or not, but they have a patch that they had created, and they had this thing created by a company that does some amazing patches. So these patches, there are only 40 left, and they are numbered. So there's only 40 of these patches, and I'm just telling you, to see these patches in person, the detail is something that is rarely accomplished. So if you're interested in a really, really cool patch that's a one-off thing that you're not going to be able to get down the road, get a hold of these guys, get a hold of Lakeshore, and get one of their patches. Only 40 of them left, and they are numbered. Also, they only have 20 left of the other things that are on the screen here, which are a special poker chip they had made, a bandana that they had made with a similar logo, and a sticker that they had with a limited sticker. So only 20 left of those others. So if you're interested, hit up the Lakeshore Villains for that information for sure. Absolutely. Hey, while I'm here, we're gonna jump back just because, hey, Buddy wanted to chime in, and he is here just to let us know he's here. Buddy, we appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much. Hey, and congrats. Congrats to you, buddy. Again, I will say congrats. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. All right, moving on in the merch area, we have, look at this. Speaking of Buddy, he shared with me earlier this week. They have a shirt. They're taking pre-orders. Today is August 4th. They have until the August 16th when they're going to stop on the pre-orders of this shirt. This is a shirt that's unlike anything that they've done before. The color scheme and everything is very, very cool. So it's a dark, if you're not watching right now, it's a dark charcoal gray, it looks like, with a purple and black logo on it. And it is a Bearded Nougat. This is for an event that they've got coming up in September. A Bearded Nougat chapter shirt. It says it's a slate gray Toltex 202 unisex tee. Logo on the back. Sizes, depending on your size, the prices are $20 to $25. Use code PICKUP1 if you're going to be picking up your shirt at the event that they've got coming up. We're going to mention that again when we get in just a few minutes when we start talking about events. But anyway, proceeds of this shirt are going to go to the Epilepsy Foundation. Very, very cool. And they're available at Chattanooga beardedvillains.bigcartel.com. Chattanooga beardedvillains.bigcartel.com. That's where you can get one of these shirts. Pre-order until the 16th. That is what I have right now as far as merch goes. I know there's other merch out there, but I'm kind of trying something out here. And you guys that have been longstanding viewers and listeners of the show here, I have always, since this show started, I wanted to share all the news and all the merch stuff that different chapters do. And sometimes it gets very arduous. There's a big word. When I have to spend just gobs amount of time on the Instagrams and line chats trying to find the merch that's out there available so that I can put it on the show. So what I'm kind of doing now is if I come across something, great, I'll screenshot it so I can get it up here on the screen. If not, I'm just going to leave it up to everybody else out there in Villain World. If you send me something, if you send me a screenshot, if you send me a flyer of something that you've got going, great. I will appreciate that so much because it saves me the hassle of trying to seek stuff out, and I will definitely get that stuff on. So if I'm not in the coming weeks and months, if I'm not sharing your chapter merch, it's because you didn't tell me about it. Can't blame me. So I'm leaving it up to you guys to be the bearer of all of this goodness that's out there. Let me know about it. So to that end, we're going to talk now about some chapter news as far as some items that are out there in the world, as far as what events they've got coming up. And we're going to start off actually here with, let's see here. We're going to do this. Yeah, boom, there it is. Bearded Villains, Western Oregon, the Bowmen. They are doing a beard competition for lupus. This August 12th. Coming up in, what's that, 8 days. 8 days. So I'm assuming that's next weekend. See what I did there with that math? Beard competition for lupus. All proceeds go to the Lupus Foundation. This is going to be at B&B Lounge, 213 South Front Street in Creswell, Oregon. Creswell, I think that's how you pronounce that. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. August 12th, 6 p.m. They've got several different beard categories, a live auction, raffle prizes, and live music. Live music from a band. I'm trying to read on the flyer. It looks like it says Crimson Divide. Crimson Divide, I think is what the name of that band is. So, Western Oregon Bowmen are doing a beard competition for lupus, August 12th. That's coming up next weekend. So if you're anywhere near the Western Oregon chapter or Creswell, Oregon, hit them up for sure. Also, Bearded Nougat coming in. We've got, actually, let me do this. Go back here and get rid of that. There we go. Now that looks much better. Beard and Nougat, just talked about this a little bit. This is going to be the Chattanooga guys coming in strong Saturday, September 2nd at White Lightning Harley Davidson. It's a beard competition. Registration starts at 10 a.m., boys and girls, 10 a.m. Competition starts promptly at noon. Looks like this is going to be benefiting the Epilepsy Foundation, as I told you earlier when they were talking about the T-shirts. The Epilepsy Foundation of Southeast Tennessee. They've got 6 different categories that they got for the judging for the beard competition. So, but here's the cool thing. This is done in conjunction, and I didn't mention this because it wasn't. I don't think it was on the flyer for the shirt, but it's my understanding that this event is actually done in conjunction with several chapters. Okay, so there's 5 different chapters listed on this flyer. So we've got Rocket City, we've got the 3-star villains, we've got Chattanooga, we've got Smoky Mountain villains, and we've got the North Georgia bearded villains. Okay, 5 different chapters coming together for this thing. Beardanooga, it's gonna be a blast. Be there if you can, for sure. And then finally up, we saw a little glimpse of it here in just a few minutes ago. All Villains Eve at Desert. Now, you know what? This is a thing now. We're doing this stuff at Harley Davidson dealerships. That's pretty cool. Desert Wind Harley Davidson, Mesa, Arizona. It is Saturday, October 21st. If you're anywhere near Phoenix, go hang out, man, because this is the Phoenix Villains are presenting this thing, and it is listed as a Slamu Wrestling presents it. So Phoenix Villains and Slamu Wrestling. So remember, this is a wrestling event. Very, very cool. They got raffles, costume contest, face painting, and more, and a professional wrestling event. What more can you say? Benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital Toy Drive. Good times there. So that's October 21st if you're near Phoenix. And that's what I've got so far for everybody. I will say this because I know when it is, and I don't have a flyer up for it yet, but hopefully soon I will. The Northern Indiana chapter, Bearded Villains Northern Indiana, my chapter. We are also having something on October 21st. So that is the thing that we refer to as the Return of Ezra Crow. That's right, Return of Ezra Crow. A costume contest, a beard competition, and this year we're adding in tattoo contest as well. Good times. More on that information later, but I got to tell you, it's going to be an epic night. In Hobart, Indiana, Northern Indiana, come one, come all. We got people coming from all over the place for this thing. I'm super excited about it, and we'll have further details in the coming weeks about that. But hey, that is what I've got on tap so far for all of the goodness that is merch and calendar of events items that I've got. Don't forget, obviously, if you're anywhere near Europe, I'll just say, if you want to go to the World Meet in Belgium, go to the World Meet in Belgium. That's out of my price range for this year, so unfortunately I'm not going. But I know a lot of the European guys are going. I know there's a bunch of guys over in England that are going. So because it's like us traveling several states away here in the States for those guys. And it's exciting because I think it's exciting. Even though it's sad for us that it's a lot more difficult for us to go to a world meet, to an actual designated world meet here in the States. I'm excited for the fact that now this is an opportunity for all of those guys over on that side of the world to be able to go to a world meet in a much closer area. So it's time for that to happen. I know that they have several meets during the year over there that are multi-chapter meets anyway, and some of them are actually better attended than the world meets that we've had over here. So, hey, take it for what it is. But they're gonna have an awesome time, and hopefully, I'm hoping to in a couple of weeks have one of the bros over there that's helping to organize the world meet on. I won't tell you who. I'll keep that a surprise. Board member. Anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. All right. Hey, I'm gonna take another sip of this fine juice. All right. Buddy, excuse me. think I just spit on myself. I was trying to talk and swallow at the same time. Buddy says, I'll be there. You're going to be at the World Meet? You're going over there? Buddy, you're going to Belgium? Very cool. If you're doing that, that's going to be awesome. It's actually national. What? All right. Well, that's the hard part with trying to read comment sections, stuff live. All right. So I want to put this out there for anybody that is that has not been paying attention to the little posts that I put out on Instagram. I didn't know how difficult this was going to be to beg, borrow, and steal to have chapters send me the photos that I'm asking for. Because my hope is that I can, at some point in the film, at a certain point in the film, I want to be able to show a scroll of every single named chapter that we have so far, along with a photo of the guys from that chapter. And I envision this to be something that would happen during the credits of the film. But so far, I've reached out into Captain's Chat. So, most of the chapters have captains in there. And I reached out in there and told everybody that, I would like for you to have representation in the film. So could you please send me a picture of your chapter? And so far, I think I only have about 30 chapters who have actually sent me a photo. So if you're not sure if your chapter has sent me a photo, ask your captain and reach out, because I wants to be able to have the photos. Number one, I want to have photos of the chapters. But here's the other thing. As I'm editing this down and doing all the stuff of all the really cool words that everybody's been telling me, all the interviews have been incredible. I'm finding very unique ways to be able to edit different parts of people's interviews together. But I'm finding a need to have more photos and videos. Now, I would prefer videos to be the landscape, the horizontal, not the vertical. So what that means, obviously, is if you have filmed it like this, then chances are I may not be able to use it. But if it's really, really cool, send it to me anyway. If you have filmed it like this, absolutely send it to me, because that's a wider format and it's much easier to get into a film that way. So, but if what I'm looking for right now is the full chapter photos. But here's the other thing I want, because I can't be everywhere all the time, and I haven't been able to, obviously. There's moments that some of our brothers capture in the moment at events, small events, large events, it doesn't matter. But sometimes some of our guys get some really cool photos. Some of them are very candid photos. Some of them are just, nobody's even noticing that they're being taken a picture of, that they're the subject of a picture. It doesn't matter. But there's some really awesome pictures out there. And I would love to be able to incorporate some of those pictures. If it's a picture of if you can attribute that photo to brotherhood, or if you can attribute that picture to charity, especially those two things. If you can attribute a photo to charity or brotherhood, I'm not looking for you to send me 30, but find 3 or 4 or 5 of your favorite pictures you've taken, and get a hold of me, because I will have you email them to me as opposed to sending them over a chat or something like that, because the images lose a lot in that way. So if you email them to me, I can have a much better format for that. So anyway, that's one thing I will say, and I'll keep putting that out in the coming weeks. At some point, I'm gonna have to make a cutoff and say, if you guys didn't send me something, I won't be able to include it. And I hate to say that, but that's the way of the world. At some point, this film's going to be done and done edited. And if you slept on it, if your chapter didn't follow through, or if there's some really cool photos that you weren't able to send me, then I'm sorry. So that's that. Okay. So I did want to tell you guys a little bit about the process. And I know some of you guys that are watching live, hopefully this doesn't disappoint you, that this is the boring part of the night, or this is like, why is he talking about this? I don't know. But for me, it's very exciting when I'm talking about the formulation of this film. And I have to acknowledge, yes, buddy, I did understand that you meant you'll be there. You'll be here in Northern Indiana at ours. Yes, thank you. I'm excited to see you for that for sure. Um, Rob, Rob is my resident photographer and filmographer over on the other side of the world. When I can't be there, he is there representing. So yes, photos you say, brotherhood you say, for a film you say, yes. I'm excited because he's going to be some places that I can't be this year, and obviously going to get some good stuff. Um, but what I have found, and this is the really really cool. Well, I'll just start with this. My goal from square one with this thing is that I wanted to make this documentary showing the stories of the stories behind why brothers, chose BV, why and how BV has changed their lives, how it's changed other people's lives through them, and so forth. And what I wanted to do as part of the way I wanted to do this in this documentary format was I did not want to do what I think would be the easy way out. And that would be for me to come on and narrate and do voiceover for a portion of the documentary, for me to narrate through things and to be able to speak through transitions and push the film along in between topics and different things just by narrating things. I did not want to do that. So, because honestly, my preference would be that you don't even know if you didn't know that I was the one that made the film, you'd never see me near it. I won't be there on it or anything. I don't want to have myself on camera for it, and I don't want my voice to be on there either, because I don't want hands off. I want to be behind the scenes with it. But in that same spirit, one of the hardest things that I've had to do is um, is to piece together all of the interviews, the different parts of the different interviews when guys would answer certain questions, or if they would just set, some of the interviews have been really fun because I might ask a direct question, and they will answer the question, but then that answer that they give me leads them to say some other stream of thought. And some of the most fun answers and the most interesting answers, most thought-provoking answers happened that way, where they answered the question that I asked, and that wasn't the most interesting part of it. It was the second part of their answer that came from that first part. That's one of the really cool things about doing these interviews. But the problem with that then is that without doing like what I've found is that I've kind of honed in on like 6 or 7 kind of core principles, kind of core topics where these interviews have kind of hovered around. Obviously, brotherhood being one. Obviously, like family or the family aspect. Respect is sort of in there, but it's kind of tied in with. So the beliefs or the core values that we hold as villains, obviously those are in there, but they're kind of strung together among other things. So, I have a segment there's a segment that I've got that specifically kind of talks about changing lives, how it's changed people's lives. There's a segment kind of how there's a bunch of we have several of our guys who either by circumstance or just by their very nature, they're introverts, and um, there's a whole segment of some of these interview answers that talk about our brothers that are and always have been very introverted, but through BV they've found a way to open up. And so I have these topics that kind of everybody kind of hovers around as far as the answers that they've given. But the hard part is I don't want to do like a series of answers here, then a black screen, and then bring up a title slide that says brotherhood. And then we talk about brotherhood for a few minutes. And then a title slide comes across and says family, and then we talk about family for a few minutes. Then another title slide comes up and says, respect or honor or, whatever. I don't want that. I don't want that because I think that's very cut and paste. I think it does what I want this thing to do is just flow. I want it to flow between the topics, and I want it to be so that you as the listener or the viewer of the show, when you're watching it, I don't want you to be able to say consciously to be able to be like, oh, okay, now, okay, so now we're going to talk about this. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this. And now we're going to talk. I don't want that. I want it to be formulated that way, but I want it to smoothly transition in such a way that you as the listener or viewer never even notice that. That's been the biggest struggle so far, is trying to get, if there was a way that I could come back to some of these interviews and go, okay, now what I need you to say now is this. That would be ideal, right? And for a little while there, I thought about, finding somebody else that I could just program the interview for and be like, hey, okay, here's what I need you to say so that we can transition easier. I don't want to do that either. But it has been such a really cool. Some of these interviews, guys, I'll be honest with you. This has been a long, long road. Really, it has. If you think back to when I first started talking about this idea of this film, we're talking 2019. Honestly, we're talking 2019 when this started happening, when I started this push. And we're talking 2019 when, when I first started interviewing some of these guys. And so now putting things together and doing final edits in 2023, it's been really, really cool for me to go back and see some of these older interviews that I did and listen to some of these words, because some of it is just incredibly inspiring. Some of it is very thought-provoking. Some of it is painful to listen to in some parts. We had some guys, man, I'm telling you, we had some guys that just laid their heart out and just opened themselves up, and it was just exactly the way I wanted it, exactly what I was hoping for. We had several of our guys that were kind of, they very guarded. Yeah, I could tell, and I wasn't going to get a whole lot out of them. I was going to get very straightforward answers. They were great, but some of our guys really opened up and really just kind of took a breath and just let themselves talk from the heart, and some raw emotional answers. It was great. And that to me has been one of the best and most incredible parts about this process, is coming back to some of these older interviews and seeing the answers and reliving the conversations that I had with some of these guys. And man, I hope that this project, when it's finally done, I hope that it is something that you guys out there in BV land can be just as impressed, not with me by no means, but I hope that you guys, when you watch this show, this film, are just as inspired as you ever have been. I hope that for many people that have kind of distanced themselves, maybe kind of lost their way a little bit as far as their connection with BV, because we all know those guys that have. My hope is that watching a film like this will kind of bring them back into the fold and make them realize the incredible nature of what BV is. One thing that I have found, especially looking back on some of these older interviews, but also seeing the trajectory that some of the chapters in BV have taken in the last year and a half, 2 years. Um, as many of you know, there have been chapters all over the world in different parts of the world who no longer exist, that were chapters in existence just 2 years ago. There are many chapters that are new. There are many chapters that have split off from pre-existing chapters, as that always happens. Um, but the type of growth and the way things have happened since some of my first interviews began, um, is very telling, and it's been a really interesting journey to see the road that some guys, what their path has taken. And we have several brothers out there that just kind of fell off and just disappeared. And it could be because they just became disjointed with what their beliefs were for BV, or what their hopes were, and they were dashed. It could be because their chapter, I've seen this before. We've talked about this many times here on the podcast. There's some chapters out there that they're stagnant. For one reason or another, they're just stagnant. They don't really get together. They don't do any kind of charity work regularly. Their brothers are brothers only in name. They're brothers only on social media. And I hate that for them. I really do. I hate that for them. Some of the chapters that are in that circumstance, they're still official chapters, but they may not have been active doing anything really to speak of in a couple of years, and they're still an active chapter. And I just wish that there were a way for, guys that are still part of those chapters, if they don't have the leadership for it in their chapter, that they could just take the ball and run with it and say, hey, I'm tired of doing nothing for 2 years. Let's do something. But we've seen that, and it's really depressing to see that there's chapters out there that are going through that, because some of these chapters that are going through that, they have brothers that really want to do something, but they feel so disconnected, and they feel they're just deflated. All of that excitement that they once had is completely lost or deflated because their chapter's not busy doing anything, because poor chapter leadership, because a variety of things. And so my hope is through this film that also people can take from it, hey, remember this guy, listen to his story, listen to, how he found BV, listen to what his story is about this incredible charity thing. And my hope is that guys will be really inspired by that. I know I have been. And there's several of these interviews that I just go back to over and over again as I'm trying to edit them down. And, some things, man, I just feel bad because, some of the best things may end up on some of the coolest parts of different stories may end up on the cutting room floor. Not really cutting room floor, because we don't really cut, film anymore. But just because there's no cohesive way to include them within, what's going on. So I'm so grateful for all the guys that have taken the time and have been willing to be a part of this thing. I'm grateful for everybody that has so far sent me in additional photos, additional information. And you know what I'm going to do? While I have people's attention, just right here on the screen, I'm going to put the address that I would like for everybody to send me stuff to. It is bvdoc2023 at gmail.com. If you would like to, if you have some stuff that's film, that's footage from charity stuff or brotherhood stuff, if you have some really cool photos that show brotherhood in a really cool way, by all means, send me something. Email me stuff. No nudes, please. And yes, I'll be able to track you down. I have skills. I have a certain set of skills. But that's going to be that. It's I'm excited for. I know I've spoken with several guys that are going to be sending me stuff. Make sure that your chapters are going to be sending me photos. I know that some of you guys out there have some really cool photos, so please send them out. I have a couple of spots actually in the film that they're being held open right now because I know exactly the type of footage and or the type of photos that I'm looking for to put in there. So I've got some spaces left open in my timeline, specifically that I like. This is the type of photo I know I need to find for this. This is the type of little video clip I know I need to find for this. And so I'm very excited about that part of it. Also, I don't want to get your hopes up with that. I won't tell you that part yet. Cheers again. I know everybody loves listening to me swallow, but if I didn't do that, how would you know I was taking a sip? You just hear dead air. So I could just mute the microphone, but then people that listen to this on an audio platform later, if anybody actually would be listening to this, and wouldn't know. They just think the thing turned off on them, right? I'm going to cough right now, so I'm going to cover my mouth. Anyway, all right, guys. So I really don't have a whole lot else to discuss. Really didn't have anything to discuss anyway tonight, right? I guess I can just let you guys get back to your Friday, or in Rob's case, your Saturday morning. And I'm looking forward to seeing guys in the coming months for different things. I don't know if there's anything else that I have that I can discuss right now. I will say that our chapter is going to be coming out with our annual concert like tour T-shirt, like rock concert tour T-shirt. If you remember last year, we had a very cool kind of homage to a certain metal band album cover for our Ezra Crow World Tour T-shirt, and this year's Ezra Crow World Tour T-shirt is finishing our design process, and so be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks. Probably, definitely by the end of the month, but probably before that time, we're going to do a pre-sale for it, and it hopes to be. I'm telling you what, I love it. I love the design, and it's going to be a really cool concert style T-shirt. So just keep your eyes out for that as well. All right. Well, hey guys, I don't have a whole lot more to say tonight. This episode 186 has been kind of blah all over the place. I know. I get it. I know. I will remind you of this. I did say a couple weeks ago that my hope in the coming episodes, that my hope was that we can also talk about how we can bring together the other facial hair and beard clubs with BV. That a lot of times we kind of hold ourselves separate from many of these other clubs out there. And I think that we're doing ourselves and other beard clubs that have some really solid dudes out there that hey, we've said it before, BV in for everybody, right? BV in for everybody for a variety of reasons. And there's some really good dudes out there in the beard and mustache societies out there in the world. And I would really love for us to grow our relationships with them. We see several of them at some of the larger events we go to, but I feel like a lot of times villains don't go to their events too often. And a lot of times we see the vice versa. They don't come to ours either because, there's a stigma, I think, a little bit to that. And one of the things I would like to try and do is grow our relationships with that. So I just letting you all know next week, I'm hoping, I think it's going to time out right. I'm trying to work out we're going to do a dual podcast show with a brother who lives down in Kentucky. His name is Ray. And we're going to basically try to do a piggyback episode thing. He's got a podcast as well that talks about beard clubs and whatnot. And he has a show that usually goes on Thursday nights, an hour before my show. And so what we're going to try to, we haven't been able to figure out a way to do it where we do a simulcast on both his platform and my platform at the same time, really, to speak of, that it goes on both our channels. I don't know the technical wizardry that would be involved in doing that, based off of the program he uses and the program I use anyway. If we both use the same program, I think it'd be very easy, but we don't. So what we're going to try to do is I think the plan is that we're going to do his show at 7 o'clock Central and my show at my normal 8 o'clock time frame. So the conversation may be varied. It may be similar. It may be the same for his show, my show. It may just be a straight continuation where we kind of like when they are talking about stuff on Sirius XM satellite radio and they're like, well, or like ESPN, and they'll go, all right, we're going to continue this broadcast on ESPN2 or Channel 80, whatever. That may be what we do. Start the show on his platform and continue it over onto mine. I don't know how we'll try it. We'll see what happens. But stay tuned for that. We'll have a flyer out there in the coming days to talk about that. And it should be just a really fun conversation. And hopefully we can kind of delve into this thing that is the bearding clubs of America and the bearding clubs of the world, really, because there's so many of them out there. Many of them are much, much, much smaller than BV, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. We already know that BV is the largest, the largest in number of beard club worldwide. That we have, chapters numbering somewhere between 140 and 150 worldwide. Last I checked, anyway. So, but that's the hope for next week, is that we're gonna do like a dual cast. I don't know what the proper term would be for a podcast episode back to back on separate channels. I'm sure there's a word for it. Well, I'll just call it a dual cast. Anyway, that's the plan for next week. So with 187. I hope you guys have a great night and a great weekend. Rob, stay safe out there. Stay healthy, everybody. But hey, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap up this Friday night edition, episode 186 of The Heart of a Villain. Hey, remember, as I always remind you guys, be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Most important words I say every week, guys. What are they? You know them well. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. Guys, have a great night. Enjoy this weekend. Enjoy the week ahead. I'll see you back here next week. Remember to send me in those photos and those videos to bvdoc2023@gmail.com. Till next week, guys, take care. Stay safe.
From the start to the finish, go hard and we